It's my honor to introduce, some of you may not even know this, but it's my honor to introduce Dr. Jeff Beard. Yep, I didn't know if you knew that or not. But Dr. Beard is a former secretary of the state of Pennsylvania, former secretary of the state of California. He, as you know, he's a pillar with CLA, as he was with ASCA. If you know Jeff, you know that he is passionate about a lot of things, but probably nothing reaches the passion he has for being the chairman of our Michael Francke Award, and we really, really appreciate all that he does in this regard. And so with that, Dr. Beard, the floor is yours.
Now, first of all, don't get carried away with the Dr. Beard thing, okay? My real name is Jeff. Anyway, it's a real pleasure to be here tonight and have an opportunity to introduce this year's Francke Awardee. Before I do that, however, I always like to say a little bit about why we have the Michael Francke Award. Because many of you here may not know anything about Michael Francke, and I also think it's good for those that do know to just remember why we give this award out and why we honor his name. Michael Francke was the Secretary of Corrections in New Mexico, and then he became the Director of Corrections in Oregon. He showed himself to be a very innovative, very progressive individual. He moved both states forward in a positive direction, and those are some of the traits that we look for when we select a Francke Awardee. One night in 1989, he left his office, and his car was parked right outside the office. He went to his car, and he was accosted by a person or persons unknown. And during that interaction, he was stabbed to death. Now, the prevailing wisdom at the time is it was a robbery gone bad. And a few months later, there was a small-time drug dealer named Frank Gable who was arrested, prosecuted, convicted, and incarcerated for his murder. And that should have been the end of the story. Unfortunately, it wasn't. There are investigators, reporters, and family members who believe that his death, his murder, was something more sinister than a robbery gone bad. And in fact, may have been related to corruption within the Oregon Department of Corrections at the highest levels. Some corruption that he is believed to have been working on and was getting ready to present information on, which is, if true, obviously likely the reason he was killed at that time. So here we sit, some 33 years later, and we still don't have an answer. We still don't know what really happened. And in 2019, things got even a little murkier because Frank Gable had his lawyer file some appeals, and a federal judge ordered him to be retried within 90 days or released. He was released. He's still out in the community. During that time, the Department of Justice in Oregon has appealed that judge's decision. And just, I think, in September of this year, a three-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court upheld that judge's opinion. So we still don't have an answer. We still don't know what happened. So with that, I would like to ask Michael's brother, Patrick, who is here with us tonight, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Jeff. Quick update on Frank Gable's case. The state of Oregon DOJ had decided to appeal the 9th District Court's decision to the Supreme Court. It is, they're foolish. And I would invite you to watch, there's a 12-part podcast called Murder in Oregon. Excellent, #1 ranked podcast and true crime podcast that explains the whole scenario, the whole thing behind it. Mike's path to corrections, in retrospect, was very clear. He started out in law school, came to Santa Fe to work for the AG's office as Deputy Attorney General, investigated the 1980 riot, wrote the report for the AG on what happened during the riot timeline, then another section on what they needed to do to fix it. A couple years later, he becomes a district court judge. Meantime, Tony and I, who we had worked with in the AG's office, becomes governor. Under a lot of pressure from the federal government, as you all are familiar with, to come into compliance. Tony put a lot of pressure on Mike to take the job. Tony apologized to this group a few years ago in Colorado because he said he felt responsible. That's not the case. Mike did exactly what he wanted to do, and he did a damn good job of it. He turned New Mexico around in 4 years. About 5 facilities was under fire from the state and federal government because he wasn't in compliance on one hand, because he exceeded his budget on the other, and he figured out how to do it. I want to thank you, Jeff, and Miss Katie. What a great job you've done here. I don't know why you guys do this. You have terrible problems. You have a terrible image problem because nobody understands that you're trying to help the people that are in prison. You didn't put them there. You're trying to make their lives better. And that points to the other part that I want to talk about, Mike Francke. He got involved at the beginning of the foundation for the Santa Fe Community College. Was a founding board member because he wanted, and he tied in the community college to the prison system for education because he thought education was the only way out of this mess that the prisoners are in. The only way to break the recidivism rate was to get them educated, and he worked very hard at that. And you should see the facility in Santa Fe today, that is the Santa Fe Community College. And there are 5 scholarships in his name, including books, to this day. You should be very proud of yourselves. You're the unsung heroes. I'm proud that you invited me every year. I hope you can be here next year. I apologize to everyone. I can't remember your names. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast. But thank you very much for the invitation. God bless you all. And God bless America. And Merry Christmas.
Well, thank you for being with us again, Patrick, like you have every year over the last several years. We appreciate you being here and sharing some information about your brother. This year's awardee has over 36 years of correctional experience and became the executive director of his department just over 6 years ago. In his current role, he oversees one of the largest criminal justice systems in the country. He is responsible for the confinement and care of about 118,000 inmates and the supervision of about 283,000 more inmates on parole or probation, as well as the management of some 32,000 employees. He is an active member of CLA and the ACA, and he serves on the board of directors for the Council of State Governments Justice Center and the Fourth Purpose Foundation. He was chosen to serve as the CLA Southern Region Chairman, and he is the chair of the Recruitment and Retention Committee. He has also been an active presenter at CLA meetings. He was elected to serve on the ACA Board of Governors, and he sits on numerous committees for the ACA, to include the Standards Committee, and he co-chairs the Professional Development Committee. His innovativeness and progressiveness are reflected in his accomplishments, both as executive director in the years before his promotion to that position when he was the number 2 in the Texas Department of Corrections or Criminal Justice. Some of the things that he accomplished over the past 6 years includes the establishment of a Training and Leader Development Division, the creation of a Research and Development Department, the issuance of inmate tablets, the installation of video visitation at all facilities, and the creation of a number of new programs. One of the newest is the STRIVE program for females, which provides gender-responsive, trauma-informed programming, career readiness skills, employment referrals, and community support. And as we heard today, he was also responsible for a rather substantial pay increase for his correctional staff, a 15% pay increase, and it appears that that's making some difference. It appears that their retention and recruitment has started to improve as a result of that pay increase. He also established an employee support services unit within the Victim Service Division to ensure that the Victim Service Division was responding to traumatic events that affect his employees. And he recently opened a career center in Huntsville Mall aimed at enhancing recruitment. When he was the second in command, he also was a part of closing some 16 units or idling or partially idling those units since 2011. And if any of you have been involved in closing prisons, you know what's involved and how difficult that can be from so many different perspectives. He's also been there while the inmate population has declined from some 156,000 in 2011 to under 118,000 today. The recidivism rate in the last 12 years is down some 8%, and there has been a substantial decrease in revocation rates. Finally, there's also been a 60% reduction in inmates in restrictive housing over the last 12 years. And those are just some of the things. I sort of pulled out just some of the highlights from the applications that have been sent in. Among the nominating applications were some from a current peer and from a former peer. And I want to read just a couple statements from each of them. From a current peer, over the past few years, I've watched him work relentlessly to make a positive impact in our business through his role in the CLA organization. He's brought together thought leaders and visionaries to find solutions to some of our toughest challenges. Specifically, his work in leading the CLA Recruitment and Retention Committee has been tremendously valuable to correctional agencies across the country, from innovative ideas around recruitment efforts to organizational structure for staff development. He has shared ideas that have been duplicated by many on the committee. And then a statement from a former peer that I think sort of sums things up. He has been a solid leader for his department and has handled many difficult situations over the last 6 years as executive director with calm, decisive, and fair leadership. He is a polite and caring individual. And with that, it's now my pleasure to ask the Executive Director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Brian Collier, to come up and receive this year's Francke Award.
Thank you very much. To truly be even considered for the award is extremely humbling to me, and I'll do my best to get through this as smoothly as I can. I had no idea that I had been nominated for this award. Surely not something that I had ever thought about. I've known many that got the award, and I have deep respect for them. I have deep respect for Jeff Beard and so many others that have gotten the award. So when Kevin called me, I thought he was actually calling me back on a cell phone issue that I called him the day before on. And he started talking about the Francke Committee. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're talking about, aren't you calling me back on that cell phone issue? And then he tells me, and I almost fell out of my chair. Of course, then I had some of our staff come in, and I'm asking them, what the heck, how did that happen? Because I had no idea. But again, I can't tell you how honored I was to even be considered, much less get the award. And even more special is actually getting the award in Texas. For you to be here in Texas has been a great honor, but to get the award while you're here in Texas is truly special to me. It means a lot. If you know me very well, you know I don't really like to be the guy up here, especially when it's about me. So I'm going to try to quickly do some thank yous and then I'll sit down. And I'll try my best to do that as smoothly as I can. The first person I would say thank you to, I'd like to thank the Lord for letting me have a career that I have enjoyed every day I've been here and giving me the privilege to walk that path. I'd like to thank my family, my wife LaDonna, my son Jonah are here, but also Corey and Matthew. They've sacrificed a lot over the years for me to be in this role, not just this role, but other roles that I've been in, and I really greatly appreciate them tolerating the moves and the things and the late nights and the phone calls and all the things that you do in these jobs that some people don't understand. They get to see the other side of it, and their sacrifice has always been very supportive. I want to say a thank you to our board. I report to the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. It's a 9-member board appointed by the governor. Many of them are here tonight, and it's a privilege and an honor to truly work with them. I know Chairman O'Daniel is here, Judge Francis, Judge Johnson, Ms. Perry are here, also Jill Durst, the board administrator is here, others are here, but from the board office and the board, thank you all for being here. Y'all have had my back since day one, and the support that you give not only our agency, and myself is just, I can never thank you enough for the support. And I love working for you and I'm privileged to work with you. I have to thank my staff, so they held the best secret I've had in a long time. So Brittany, Shannon, and Stephanie from my office are here, and they truly kept this under wraps, but in reality, as y'all all know, they keep me on track. They have not only my schedule, but they keep me going. I'm a point-and-click guy, so they're very good about keeping me aimed in the right direction where I need to be and how I need to do it, and making sure I'm squared away. So thank you all so much for all that you do. A deep and very special thank you to our leadership team, and there are many of our division directors that are here tonight. Our Deputy Director, Oscar Mendoza, many of our division directors are here tonight. I get the privilege, and it is truly a privilege, to work with, I would say, and I say it absolutely anybody that wants to know, the most talented leadership team in Texas State Government. And I get the privilege of working with them every day. And anything we've accomplished is because of them. They are the most phenomenal group of individuals to work with, and I get the privilege of working with them every day. They're experts in their areas, and when they work together, I've told them many times, I think we could solve world hunger. When we get focused, they are a team that doesn't slow down, and they are focused on what needs to get done, and they help get it done. And they are phenomenal. So thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for all that each of you do. To my CLA family, that's the way I look at it. And there's special mentors that I've had over my career with Brad Livingston. Been a great mentor and a great friend to me over the years, working as his deputy. And again, introducing me to CLA. Many others, that's why I'm special for Jeff Beard to be the one introducing me tonight. But you as our CLA family, you're the ones that we can talk to each other about what we need to talk to. We can vent, we can share ideas. We are a very close-knit group, and it is an honor to work alongside of each of you. You have mentored me, you have helped me, you have given me the strength to do the job, and you've helped make this job very enjoyable. And I appreciate each and every one of you, not just the members, but our associates and our partners as well. It's been great. It always is great. I love to come together when we get a chance to visit, but knowing you is one of the privileges of my life. Thank you. Last group I would like to thank, and maybe the most important, are the thousands of men and women of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. They quietly go about doing their job every day, and as many of you know, most people don't know what they do, and many people would not want to do what they do. But because they do the dedicated job that they do each and every day, Texans are safe. And it's truly an honor for me to serve in this role, knowing that what I do helps support what they do. And they are the kind of people that make you want to do these jobs, and they're the kind of people that make it rewarding because they truly are public servants to the very core. And what they do matters, and we all know that. I know many people don't know that outside of this room, but having that privilege to work with them is truly an honor. So thank you to them, but also thank you all for this honor. And again, to be considered was one thing I had no idea about at all, but again, it's truly an honor, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you all.